Probably many people that you know or that you all have known out there, they did something. You probably did something. You just didn't get caught for it. There's people that go to prison and jail for doing a lot less than what you might have done, you know. Eric G, In and Out Podcast. Recidivism is it's a prevailing problem in our society because of the way society goes about handling recidivism. And what recidivism is it's essentially someone that has been in trouble with the law or has been to prison or jail or has been under the net of social control is what I call it, or is what is referred to. You've had some type of contact and adjudication with the criminal justice system and you reoffend. So recidivist is once you've come out, you've been released from prison or jail, and you end up catching another charge and going back to prison or jail, or being on probation or what have you, is basically reoffending. And I think it's the so-called experts. This is one of the things that they commonly talk about is within the first 3 years, people that come home from prison or jail, they reoffend within the first 3 years. And there's a multitude of reasons why that happens. There's so many different things wrong with the system, and there's not enough solutions, but there's a lot of things that can be done to lessen the recidivism rate or the reoffend rate. Personally, and on a micro level, I think it's to each one of us. Anybody feels that they want to be a part of the solution, or they want to lend a helping hand. Number one, you can just treat people like people. You have to understand and always remember that people are people. It's not no particular type of person that commits a crime. Matter of fact, I believe mostly everybody commits a crime at one point or another. Whether it's breaking the speed limit, running a stop sign. There's all type of things that we can do. Now we all want to, oftentimes people want to prejudge, and they want, because they haven't been to prison or jail, they feel like maybe they might be so much different than somebody that has. But I can tell you, there's different people from all walks of life, all ages. You got male, female. You got straight, gay, lesbian, bisexual. All the different titles that you can put on it. You got rich, poor. You got ignorant. You got educated. You got professionals. You got non-professionals. But if we just treat people, as regular people and with the understanding that, just because somebody went to prison or jail, it doesn't make them a bad person. If you're a business owner and someone is out of prison and jail and you need help, judge that person by the interview, or judge them by their resume, or judge them by their skill, judge them by their ability, but don't judge them on the fact that they've been to prison or jail. Unless what they've been to prison or jail, I will grant you, of course, you're going to be a little more guarded if somebody's been to prison or jail for something that directly deals with, whatever type of service that you might be hiring them for. You may not want to hire somebody to be around money if they did time for stealing. I get that. But other than that, you got to give people a chance. You just got to realize, the old saying is, you already paid for you did the time, so you should be forgiven. You've already paid for it. Yeah, you can't keep punishing people for life. That's what the system does. We don't want to be a part of that. We know it's all nonsense anyway. The system is set up for people to fail, not to succeed. And you want to put basically a scarlet letter on people once they've been to prison or jail. You don't give people a second chance, and that's negative context, because a lot of times when people come home, they're actually going to be the best workers and the most honest people, because they got to have a job in order to stay out, because they might be on probation or they might be on parole, so they have to have a job, and so they're not going to mess up. They're under supervision, and a lot of times if you give people that second chance, you might have one of the best workers you ever had in your life. So now I just encourage people not to be so judgmental, and just to understand that people are people. Probably many people that you know or that you all have known out there, they did something. You probably did something. You just didn't get caught for it. There's people that go to prison and jail for doing a lot less than what you might have done. You just got to remember. Look at it. They locking people up for marijuana. They used to lock people up for a long amount of times for a marijuana cigarette or a marijuana joint or a blunt or for a gram of weed or something like that. Now it's basically legal all over. So you just got to look at the context. You got to remember that in our society, especially in America, we manufacture criminals. We got a bunch of nonsense laws. We got a financial incentive to lock people up. And in my humble opinion, a lot of times that's why people are getting locked up, not because they're bad people. We know that most of the time it's financial. People are just trying to make money. There is a place for some people to be locked up. I'm not anti-prison and jail, but I also do understand that it doesn't necessarily make you a bad person just because you've been there. And on a macro level, from a societal level, I believe that it's my personal viewpoint that you got to get people that have been through it. You know, you can't just have these suits, these suits these know-it-alls, these legislators that are making the laws that, you know, they don't necessarily represent the people in society anyway. So I believe that as you know, when the decisions are being made, the rules are being made, you know, for so many of the things that you forbid people to do when they come home from prison, once again, you know, this is one of my words, it's nonsense, because there's so much nonsense that goes on with the people that make these rules that we have to abide by. We know that a lot of these people are doing just as much as the average human being. I'm not saying that they're any better or any worse, but they're certainly not any better. We understand that the people that are making the rules, oftentimes they are worse. They're making it for people that have to abide by it, but oftentimes they don't abide by it by themselves. So what I would say is you got to get people in the room right alongside with the people that are making the laws. You got to get people in the room that has a voice in making those laws, people that have been affected by those laws. You know, if people are still voting and still paying taxes, then they should have just as much a right to the law making as anyone else. Because if not, then you've got taxation without representation. And in our country, you know, that's not what we live by, right? We say, you know, taxation without representation means you shouldn't have to pay taxes on something if you're not going to be fairly represented. And so if you're paying taxes and you're going to work, you've already served your time, then there should be some type of a committee of people that's making these rules that forbid people to do a lot of things. When people come home, there's things that you might not be aware of that they cannot do. You know, it's hard for them to get food stamps. A lot of jobs they're forbid to do. You can't become a chauffeur. You can't get your barber's license. You can't get your cosmetics license. And the list goes on and on. I mean, there's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of things, jobs, professions, licenses, certificates, degrees that people cannot get because they have a criminal background. But then, you know, that is just going to perpetuate the same cycle. Because now if these people can't get a job to feed their family, oftentimes they're going to go right back to doing what they know how to do best. And that's get money. And sometimes if they know how to get money in a manner that the law says you can't do, then that's going to put them right back into that criminal element and that criminal lifestyle. But at the end of the day, a joker is going to do what he got to do to make money and to feed himself and his family. And that's the human nature. The nature to survive, preservation first.